I share your frustration. My son, Christopher, has been playing soccer since he was 5 years old, and he ended up playing for the Connecticut State Championship Norwalk High soccer team. There's my shout out for tonight. This band of brothers, 17 different languages, 21 different countries, overcame all adversity to win the Connecticut State Cup, and we are very, very proud of them. And one of the adversities that they had to overcome was the lack of playing space. There's simply a shortage of space in Norwalk for sports. It is because we are a city and because we do not have enough places for our youth. But the reality is, and while I would love to promise you that as mayor I will take private property by eminent domain and turn it into sporting stadiums, or I will take open spaces and converting them to playgrounds and playfields, the reality is we are challenged. We do not have the resources to do that. And until we get our fiscal house in order, until we implement performance-based budgeting so we free up savings, candidly, we're just not going to have the money to do that. We can make all the promises we want in an election campaign, but you have the right to demand to know how we're going to pay for those promises without raising taxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Vinny.
You know, this is a frustration that's come to my attention over the past 6, 7, 8 months, you know, inequity in opportunity to have access to our fields in Norwalk. And there's people that feel that there's favoritism, and I got news for you, there probably is, because again, going back to my theme, the same folks have been in charge for so long, all of their friends get all the favors, and that's how it works around here. It's been working around here for a long time. And we need to make sure, look, there's a demand for people to play soccer. People want to play soccer. Why are we discouraging that? We need opportunities for our young people. We need them urgently so they don't fall, Guillermo, to alcoholism, to drugs, to the wrong things. We need to make sure that we're creating positive opportunities. And although we don't have to turn green space into fields, we could make sure the fields that we got, right back here, we could make sure that those are upkept. We could make sure that the one behind Ely School is upkept. We have plenty of fields. It's just a matter of having the opportunity for people to participate in them. So that's what we need to do. We need to be more open. We need to be transparent. We need to publish a schedule of what fields are available on what days, what organization has access to those fields, and we need to make sure that the organizations that are seeking to use the fields have the proper liability insurance and everything that's required in order to use the field. It's pretty simple, right? Sounds pretty simple. But that's what needs to go on here. We don't have to reinvent the wheel here in Norwalk, but we have to get back to the basics, and we have to recognize that everybody has an equal right to utilize the public assets that surround this entire community. And as mayor, I will ensure that that process is implemented first day. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Rilling.
Well, what do you know? We agree. You know, I experienced firsthand the frustration because several years ago when I was police chief, I had a newly formed football league come to me because they were having trouble getting a field in Norwalk. No matter what they did, they couldn't get a field. So they were going to Stamford, they were going to Bridgeport to play their games. I was able to contact the housing authority, and through their generosity, we were able to provide them with a field behind Colonial Village. Now, it wasn't the best field, but these young people made it into something on which they could play. And there are fields in Norwalk that need to be improved. There are fields in Norwalk that are not always being used. And there needs to be greater access. Soccer is the fastest growing sport across this country. More young people are getting engaged in it. Some baseball leagues are folding because the kids are opting to play soccer. So we need to provide opportunities for the young people to play soccer so that they can, again, be engaged in healthy activity to keep them out of trouble. And we need to find the space for them to do it. Like I said, there are several fields. I'm not sure that Norwalk High School or Brian McMahon is always used 7 days a week. So perhaps we can free up some of those schools and make sure that they do have an opportunity, the leagues do have an opportunity to play and to enjoy the game. Thank you.
Rebuttals?
I hate to disagree with my colleagues, I really do, but I don't think there are plenty of fields in Norwalk, and the fields that we played on, and we played on lots of fields. I think Sandra will remember the times we played at Taylor Farm, which is the dog park. Nasty, very nasty. Right? Well, we had to do that. The fact of the matter is we don't have unlimited funds, and as much as we'd love to say, let's just go out and redo some fields, we have to figure out a way to be responsible and pay for it. And if we can't do that, we're not responsible leaders.
Excuse me, I'm not on the list, but I do have to follow up on that.
Mr. Peoples,
How are you?
you have my respect.
Thank you.
Can I have a rebuttal on that?
I got a rebuttal for a rebuttal. Go ahead.
No, after you, sir.
On that theory, we have the Sono Light come in. We have the Fieldhouse come in. They get a lot of tax breaks. They get a lot of stuff that none of these guys in this side of town can utilize. We have the court, which is right in back of that. Those kids cannot even have a say of getting in to utilize that stuff. I'm trying to figure out why we can't, as a community, get facilities for our young people, like a teen center or something that they can go to, get educated, have some place to go, without having the Wilton, or the Darien, or the out guys on the outer communities coming in and taking our buildings and making all the money and running out of town. What can we do about that?
Thank you. Just a couple things I want to add. Thank you for those remarks, sir. You're right on point. As mayor, as city leaders, sure, nobody up here wants to raise taxes, guys. Nobody wants to raise taxes. It's nobody's priority to go out there and overspend what we can afford. We get that, but we also have an obligation as well to do right by our community and make sure that we grow and make sure that we have those opportunities. So to your question, sir, I'm the only one that's out here championing, campaigning on bringing the Boys and Girls Club to our city. Something that's been overlooked for a long, long time. And it's time that we put our heads together, philanthropic, private, and public, and we make sure that that becomes a reality. It's time for Norwalk to stop being overlooked. And we need to make sure that we have better partnerships and better understandings when these other private, outside sports organizations come in, that there is a public and community aspect that we're looking for out of them. And we need to hold them to those standards and abide by that, too, from the very beginning. Thanks.